Good afternoon. My name is Dale Rodriguez, and this is Flabonga Month the Cube. And with me today, I've got Jordan Vickery.
Thanks for having me, mate.
You're welcome. And we've also got co-host
Tony Stevenson of Flabonga Month the Cube as well. I think that's right for me to say that now, right? We're 3 episodes in. Did I get it right?
Nailed it.
Or I've got work to do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll give you a pay rise just for saying it correctly.
Yes, thank you.
I
Do I have to now say no? Do I have to say it's not an ad and I'm not being paid to promote Flabonga Month the Cube, even though I'm a co-host of it? Is that we better make sure because we don't want to upset anyone. So,
well, I was going to say like multiplying 0 by anything means it's still 0, so you're not being paid for this.
Okay, yeah.
Jordan, thank you for joining us both. Yeah, covered all the bases. I'm going to start with a nice, easy questions. We've already covered who you are, your name. Let's look at your amazing repertoire. Co-founder of Vinyl Journey, the firm, and more. So, what do you do for a living with all these different businesses?
Don't sleep at the moment. There's lots going on. Predominantly I spent the last 12 years in accounting tech in various kind of growth and marketing roles. More recently, running Vinyl with Trent McLaren. Vinyl's a go-to-market agency working exclusively in the accounting tech ecosystem. So we support vendors in this channel with growth. And then the end of last year, we co-founded a new product called Vinyl. Vinyl is an AI meeting note taker built specifically for accountants and bookkeepers as well. Currently building that, ready to launch on the 1st of April at DAS.
Okay. You know, we will ask you about Vinyl, but maybe a little bit later. I want to ask a cheeky question. Of the 12 years that you've had in fintech, who has been your favorite employer?
Oh, that is a good question. Favorite employer? I would say myself when I was self-employed.
I was going to say, I'm sitting on that. I was going, surely it was Jordan was going to say Jordan, right?
Yeah, definitely myself. Just, be my own boss, do what I want to do. I've worked with some great people over the years. Like the ecosystem's full of like really cool people like you guys. But yeah, nothing quite beats just being able to work for yourself.
Okay, fair enough. I should have added the caveat, not including yourself, but that's unfair. That's me.
It definitely beats working with Trent. Put it that way.
Shots fired. We're only like 2 minutes in.
I thought it would take us longer.
You know, this means we're going to have. Yeah, it means we're going to have Trent on so he can come defend himself. Oh, actually, we have you both on at some point, and we can like mediate some kind of debate. That could be
like couples therapy.
Yeah. Sorry, you joke. How did you guys meet, and why did you go into business together?
Yeah, we met when he moved to the UK to help launch Ignition here, which feels like a lifetime ago, but probably was like maybe 6 years ago now. And at the time he brought me in, I was consulting and worked with him and the team there as part of the UK launch, supporting them with some kind of growth and marketing stuff. We became pretty good friends, realized that we work really well together. We have quite complementary skill sets, even though we do piss each other off at the best of times. And then just kind of kept in touch, and the rest is history, I guess, as people say.
And I like Trent's kind of like quite an ideas man, right? So I get the vibes from observing your relationship through digital means that he likes to sort of ping things to you while you're asleep, so that you've got plenty of stuff to get on with when you get up. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Like I don't know what book or thing this is from, but have you heard of the concept of like the visionary and the integrator?
Yes,
it's like two kind of complementary roles. So Trent is very much the visionary, like he's like bigger picture thinking, looking 3 years ahead, really good at like picturing and articulating that vision. And then I'm very much like a details guy. Like I'm very much good at like actually making it happen now, figuring it out, getting stuck into the detail. And I think that's why it works quite nicely. I'm probably saying too many nice things about him here, by the way. Can we give him more shit?
No, let me stir. If we dropped you into a boxing ring, who's going to win?
I mean, I'll obviously win that one.
Okay. Do you think he'd say the same?
He would, yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like a silly question or a serious question next?
Silly.
Okay, I'm going to assume that you eat meat. If you could eat one meat for the rest of your life, forsaking all others, what meat are you choosing?
I am choosing steak.
Good choice. Good choice. Any particular reason, or just you just love it so much?
Oh, it's just, you can't beat a steak, can you? Quick and easy to cook, tastes delicious. You can cook it in different ways. You can do it with different things. You can have it as a steak with chips and sauce. You could slice the steak up and throw it into like a salad or something. It's pretty flexible.
In a salad? That's a waste of good steak.
No, there's a time and a place for that. There's a time and a place for that, you know.
Summer's around the corner, mate. Come on, we've got to get into shape.
Absolutely.
You're right. I do need to get into shape. You're 100% correct. I'm not beach ready right now.
I've never been beach ready. I have heard though, Jordan.
But you don't need to be, man. You're a unit.
Still, mate. Still, I have heard, and I can't remember who it was that said this. It was something around like your gym sessions at DAS or Accountex that you've organised for people before, but the general vibe of it was don't train with Jordan because he's an absolute savage in the gym. And I can't remember who it was who said it, but it felt at the time like somebody that would appreciate a good savage in the gym. So are you managing to continue to keep up your workout regimes now you are a new father?
Yeah, just about. Managing like 2 or 3 times a week at the moment. It's a bit of a sore spot in the household though, because my wife Sophie's like, where's my gym time? You need to let me go to the gym as well. So we're trying to figure out a nice flexible schedule here where everyone can exercise and be happy. But yeah, trying to get it in still. It's for me, like the gym is so important. Like I work hard, I work long hours, and just being able to take 2 hours out of my day to go and listen to some rock or heavy metal in a gym, not look at my phone and just lift some weights and switch off from the outside world is just, yeah, hugely important. And it's been a massive part of my routine for many, many years now.
I found it.
Okay, who's on your gym playlist?
At the moment, it's
rock or metal. Who's on that? Yeah. Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, they've got a new album
some heavy stuff,
out.
Man. I like it.
Yeah.
I think there might be a slight delay between me and you guys. Like I'm asking questions, and that's like a little pause.
Possibly.
I was deliberately pausing then, just for dramatic effect.
Dramatic effect. Dale's gone into pause now to just throw us off the scent. Or has he frozen?
Oh no, he's messing with us.
No, I haven't frozen. I'm still here.
He's messing with us.
Sorry. Okay, so you like the heavy metal because I like Architects too. They're pretty good. The song Alpha Omega, banging track. Sorry, I'm making this all about me. It's not about me. Tony, I interrupted you. You're about to ask a question.
It was maybe more of an observation. So I think all three of us are girl dads, I believe, and have relatively young children, and obviously have transitioned from being not parents to parents in the fairly recent past, and it is a transition I've been quite open with that I found quite challenging for a number of reasons. And I found that a similar tension around time for yourselves, and whether that's gym or whether that's not, but I had to reframe from, you described the absolute joy and nirvana of a 2-hour gym session. I found the joy and nirvana in a 20-minute gym session, and been thankful to myself that 20 minutes was a stack better than not doing it and throwing a tantrum about the fact that I couldn't have the time or wasn't able to fit the time in for a 2-hour gym session in my day. So I've had to reframe my mindset around this and try and see shorter, more impactful sessions as valuable, and can try and fit them in when I can. So that is also my best advice to folks in that situation, to try and navigate that tension, because it's, suddenly you've got to account for some entity that wasn't there previously, right? And it's a big challenge and transition to go through for both parents, right? Not just dads, right? Holy mums too. So yeah, I feel it. Does get a bit easier though, right?
Do you guys find that being a dad has changed your outlook or perspective on work? Like, do you think you work differently or think differently, or has it not changed your work ethic in any way?
I mean, I'm only 8 weeks into this, so possibly too early for me to say. I think I haven't consciously thought about this all that much, but I feel like subconsciously I'm aware that there's a greater purpose to what I'm doing now in terms of working and what it's for and what it's for in the future. But I haven't really thought much more about it other than that.
I think yes.
I'm inclined to agree as well.
Yeah, it's actually made me appreciate work more, in the sense that, like, I work with good people and for a good company, so like, being at work often doesn't feel like being at work, which is, like, I guess the biggest compliment that you can give to work, right? But also to being a bit mindful and a bit more grateful for that, in that it's dealing with adults and peace and quiet sometimes, to just kind of crack on with things is something that I know that isn't always afforded when you've got a 2-year-old who wants the ice cream sand out. So yeah, and that same kind of, like, higher purpose thing as well, for sure. Yeah.
Speaking of peace and quiet, jumping into the comments, Kevin Lord, firm check. Let's not pretend the 20 minutes toilet break hasn't morphed into one of life's greatest joys. He's 100% right. Kevin, thank you, man. You're right. Like, it's just, yeah.
I heard.
Let's be honest, some of us sometimes I bring my phone in as well. I'm not gonna lie.
Only sometimes.
I know I shouldn't. Sometimes.
Yeah, I heard somebody describe it as a micro holiday. Like that little sort of, like, just, you got to go and take something out to the car or something, and it's like a 4-minute job, and it feels like that same kind of feeling of holiday that you got before parenthood descended, right? Which I thought was quite amusing and relatable.
Okay, let's bring it back to business, because this is a live stream on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is all about the business. So you said Vinyl AI note taker. Why a note taker specifically for bookkeepers and accountants? What have note takers currently not done, and what's Vinyl going to do to fix the problem?
It's a good question, and there's a couple of ways we're thinking about this. We've done a ton of research with accounting and bookkeeping firms. We've got over 200 on a wait list at the moment that have all completed a research survey to basically tell us all of the pains and problems they're facing when it comes to meeting notes at the moment. One of the big challenges with existing note takers is that they tend to sit in isolation of everything else. So how people are currently using them is that they'll join a meeting, they'll record the meeting, they'll store that meeting on their platform, and then it sits there doing nothing until the off chance that somebody needs to go and just double check something in the transcript because they forgot a point, or they just wanted to remind themselves about something. So it's actually not all that actionable or useful. Because it's essentially sitting in isolation of where accountants and bookkeepers need this information. So one of the huge kind of like plus sides that we're focusing on for Vinyl is actually like integrating it into the rest of the practice app stack, specifically starting with practice management systems. So being able to not just record and transcribe and capture the stuff from the meeting, but then push that straight through to the practice management app, store it at a client level or a contact level, and then even go as far as extracting out the actions and agreed deliverables from that meeting with the client and assign them as tasks in the practice management system, either internally or assigning them as external tasks to the clients to complete as well. So there's a huge amount of value there. And then I think the second big value of focusing on accounts and bookkeepers and making it a vertical note taker is that you've got this huge amount of context that gets discussed in meetings that is very relevant for accountants and bookkeepers, that if you're building a general AI note taker, you don't really care about. Whereas if you're focused on exactly the types of things that get discussed in meetings with accountants and bookkeepers and their clients, and then you can apply AI over the top of that, you've essentially got this incredible rich data that you can extract out and do incredible things with it. So, you can query, what are some of the things my clients are worried about in the last 3 months? Like, what are the biggest pains? What are the questions that are coming up repeatedly? And you can apply that in the context of accounting and bookkeeping. So yeah, huge opportunities, I think.
So would you say it's basically it's kind of how your AI has been trained is the kind of differentiator? Because assuming it's going to be listening for different words or, like you said, the context which other AI note takers might not be. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's definitely where it will be down the line. Like initially, we're very much focused on like how do we. What we have today, like if I was to invite Vinyl to this meeting today, it would do exactly what every other AI note taker does. It will come in the meeting, it will record the audio and video, it will go away, and it will then draft a summary or draft key discussion points and or draft actions. First stop for us is like, how do we get that information? How do we then push it back into the practice management system so that teams have visibility, actions get handed off, in a reasonable time frame, they don't get left and nobody remembers to do them. And then the second part is really training the AI to understand the context and even being able to do things like integrate and pull through legislation to help accountants draft emails to clients post meeting. So let's say we have a meeting and we're discussing the changes in national insurance rates, whatever it might be. It's then being able to take that, go and draft an email to the client to say, here's everything we discussed. Here's a link to the relevant HMRC guidance or the HMRC updates on national insurance. We could even look at using some of the deep research LLMs that have been created now to go away and do additional research into certain tax matters, whatever it might be, and then pull that back through post-meeting into follow-ups with clients. So it feels like this kind of like endless opportunity of what's possible, but it all starts with that initial point of like the AI meeting note taker.
Okay. Tony, you look like you've got a good question brewing.
I've always got a good question brewing. I was just listening actually. I think it's a fascinating opportunity. So I won't pin you to names that you aren't at liberty to divulge, but presumably are you down the track of integrating with practice management tools? That's underway, right? And presumably it'll be the names that we know and love in our space.
Yeah. So when we launch on the 1st of April, it's highly likely, obviously these things are never guaranteed, that there'll be at least 1 to 3 practice management integrations.
Very nice. It seems like such an obvious problem that I could easily see folks just like not really viewing as a problem, just as like that's just the way we've always done it, right? It's just we have a meeting and that meeting is done kind of like separately from everything else because it's maybe it's digital, maybe it's not, maybe it's maybe it's done face to face, but that information is then at the mercy of the levels of organization of the person within the meeting to be able to take those notes and to then put them where they need to be and then make them actionable, right? There's quite a lot of like leaps of faith within that chain that you need to get to in order to be in a position. But I'm just thinking about like you've discussed with it, like MTD, for example, right? Big one that's coming up. Lots of firms are going to have lots of conversations about that. Standardized template. Here we go. Right. Here's your information. Here's the email straight out to you that gives all the information that you need on this, and some extra bits for your specific situation, and booking in the next meeting, that kind of stuff. It feels like it could really close the gap on that whole sort of like client interaction process and reduce that burden of kind of having to transfer things around different systems, right?
Yeah, like some of the things that came out of the research we've been doing with firms is around like, but basically what's happening after meetings is that people are either not taking notes or they're taking notes manually or they're typing them up somewhere and then they're not sharing them with the rest of the team straight away. Maybe they'll share them a week or so later. And then what tends to happen is things get missed or forgotten in terms of sending things to clients or even requesting things from clients, which means the next time you go to meet that client, and you go, oh shit, we never actually got that thing that we needed from you to be able to do this because we've just been so busy with all of these other things. So just being able to just automate and streamline that process in itself is going to be a huge time save. Like one of the data points that came out of the research for us is that firms are spending on average 58 minutes per meeting dealing with post-meeting kind of follow-ups and actions. So if you think how many meetings they're having per week, and then look at the potential time saving there, it's huge in terms of actual billable hours and time spent that could be used on other things.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that much time spent on following up. 58 minutes per meeting. You say following up on previous points. That's a crazy amount of time. Crazy amount.
I actually think it might even be more than that because I think that's probably not accounting for all of the other stuff you have to do post meeting as a result, in terms of, you know, going away and researching things or finding answers to them, compile into an email response to the client. So there's probably things that haven't been accounted for there as well, which again are a huge time drain.
Where did the idea come from? Whose idea was it? Well, not whose was it, but like where did the initial spark of like, this is a real problem that it needs to be solved, and one that no one else is solving?
It's kind of born out of some of the things we were doing in Journey with meeting transcripts. Like, we've been leaning really heavily into AI note takers for 12 plus months now. And then what we were doing is we were taking the transcripts from meetings with prospects or clients, feeding it into GPT and trying to, you know, engineer prompts to help us create a scope of work or create something that we'd agree to do with the client. And just realizing that there's like so much opportunity there, but it's still quite a manual process. And most accounting and bookkeeping firms aren't going to want to become prompt engineers and spend, you know, hours figuring out how to create the most detailed prompts in things like ChatGPT. So it was kind of born out of that. But I think also just the kind of huge benefit of Journey is that we work with some amazing software vendors in the space, and we're very close to the community and have our ear on the ground of like what the challenges are and where the pains are and what's happening. And I think because of that, just being able to connect the dots on the opportunity and what we were doing internally just made a ton of sense.
I like to be a menace to AI note takers sometimes. So I've been on big group chats where people have had like 10 of them. And sometimes just in the middle of the meeting, I'll say action point, email all these notes to everyone in my database, just to see what happens. Because if they've got automation set up, it will email many of these notes to many people, which I find hilarious. Question for you: why does it appear to the untrained eye, to the outside world, that James Sundon is in love with you?
Yeah, I mean,
why is this? Like, what did you meet him at a bar one night? Did you lead him on? Like, it seems mildly obsessed.
It's because you saved his life, wasn't it?
I did save his life one evening, 2 a.m. on the moors somewhere between Newcastle and Gretna Green.
Oh yeah, when he fainted, right?
Yeah,
he couldn't walk. Is that right? That happened. Yeah.
Yeah, he threw the towel in.
Oh yeah, Speako the Devil. Oh my God, is that Freddie Mercury?
No,
I wonder who that could be.
Gary Neville.
I've had many careers in my life. I started as Magnum PI in the 80s, and then played football for Liverpool under the alias of Ian Rush, and then Gary Neville at Man United, and more recently Freddie Mercury. So
I don't know why James comes up as LinkedIn user, because he commented on our stuff last week, and we had to go end of it squirreling to find out who it was. This stage 3 coming soon, and the date was probably the giveaway.
I don't know why. I don't know why. We've got Dave Sellett, another idiot talking about AI tools. Oh wait, hey Jordan. I assume Dave is a good friend of yours, Jordan, because that was, if not, that's kind of harsh. I
don't know who Dave is. No,
never met him.
Oh, okay.
I'm joking.
Oh, Dave, you know, in that case, oh, phew. And purple discrimination. Well, the reason why, if you didn't know Dave, that would be a milestone for the show. We managed to get a troll, which would be incredible. But you do know him, so it's not really trolling. It's just a friend with banter.
He's just playing, yeah.
You guys are both part of,
you know Dave?
Counting House Mafia, aren't you?
We are both part of Accounting House Mafia, yeah. So, yeah, we know each other very well. And for people that don't know, Dave actually has some very, very refreshing views on the application of AI in accounting, in a very kind of no BS, saying it as it is way. So if you're looking for a slightly different perspective on how AI will or won't impact accounting in the next few years, like, definitely follow Dave, because it's a refreshing take.
Dave also holds the title in my eyes as the most the most thoughtful, lengthy comments of any person on LinkedIn, like consistently thoughtful, lengthy comments and superbly consistent use of emojis at the beginning of every one of his paragraphs. There's always, and it's not AI, obviously it's Dave, but like it comes it comes out beautifully every single time. And I'm like, if I can just see it, I wouldn't even know what's written, and I'll be like, that's a Dave Seller comment. I can see that.
I like to think that he's got like an entire just for LinkedIn comments, where it's just like, this button does like structure, this button does this emoji, this is like an angry point, this is a happy point.
Nine of his 27 stream decks are dedicated just to LinkedIn commentary. There he goes.
Is that
stage 3 0104 2025?
What is stage 3? Sorry,
it's James.
That's a James Sundin.
Oh, okay.
Did you see Jason Stats put a post up the other day saying that he was blocking people on LinkedIn who either use AI to comment or plug to their wares in his comments? You're allowed, James, obviously, of course. We're all friends here. But it did make me chuckle.
So I'm going to jump to the comments again, because we've got a question from Marcus Batson. Hey, do you see vinyl acting partly as a training tool with visibility on some of the reasoning and research? I'd imagine juniors would traditionally do research and share this back with the partner, learning along the way. That's a good question.
I don't think that's anything we've considered so far. I came across a tool the other day called Pocket CA, based out of South Africa, launching into the UK market in the next week, I believe. They've essentially trained an LLM on the entire accounting standards, FRS, whatever, to basically understand everything it needs to know about accounting and tax, so that it can almost be like a training and research tool for firms. Whereas instead of like people having to go and ask a partner for an answer to a question about a complex scenario, they can essentially just ask this LLM and it will give you an incredibly accurate, detailed response. It sounds pretty cool. Like, I'm quite excited about the opportunity for them.
CBiz in the USA have something similar. They're a massive firm in America, and they made their own large language model index, and they're using it as a marketing tool. Essentially, a business owner in America can go ask that question. It's linked to their internal database, which they curate, so they know the information's up to date and correct, and it will give a relatively good answer, and then at the end it will say, disclaimer, come chat with us, which I think is a genius idea. But obviously, I think they're like something like a 600 million turnover accounting firm, so they got the time and money to be building their own LLM. Like most firms don't. But no, that's a really cool shout out. Can we talk about more of your fintech days? Because I'd be interested to know, because you're someone in the know, like, why do some apps work or not work in this space? Like in the UK sector, why do they kind of, some take off, some like amazing hype, it works, some just die a horrible death. Why is this?
I think there's a couple of reasons. The first is just very simply product market fit. I think that there's too many solutions coming to market that are solutions looking for problems, as opposed to solutions solving existing problems that people are facing, or they're just not solving them in a I'm trying to get my words out, a meaningful enough way. I think the other challenge that I see specifically with fintechs is that they only look at accountants and bookkeepers as a route to market. They have essentially a product that is built for business owners, and they see accountants and bookkeepers as a channel, and their entire thought process is, well, we can just get them to resell or refer our product onto these business owners. That mindset is destined to fail from day one. It will never work, because firms, speak to any firm, and they're so tired of these products trying to sell to them in order to sell onto their clients. They've been burnt so many times in the past, and there's actually no real value add to the firm for them to want to do that. Why would they risk those client relationships that they've spent years building just to refer a product on, in exchange for you saying, well, I'll give you a small commission or a small kickback? It's like, that's just not worth it. So I think they're the two main ones. And then I think the third one, which is less common, is just not a well thought out growth and marketing strategy. I think there's a few apps in the space that are too focused on just short-term sales activation and not focused enough on long-term brand building and playing the long game. And because of that, they just get burnt out and don't grow quick enough. And because of that, they die out. So kind of three things there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like what I've noticed about the accounting sector compared to other sectors where SaaS is sold or implemented is like SaaS in general, there's usually this kind of like, 5-year plan, start up, scale up, and grow, and then maybe sell to a VC. But like the sales cycle in accounting and bookkeeping is minimum like 2 to 3 years, generally speaking. I mean, sometimes it's faster, but like for bigger firms like KR, like there's always like a 2-year plan going on based on historic information. So like the sales cycle is completely different to other sectors I've been in, which again doesn't fit with the normal SaaS growth scale model.
I also think that there's quite a few products in this space that have raised like VC money on the basis that there's this huge TAM out there, total addressable market of like 50, 60, 70,000 accounting firms in the UK alone. What they're probably failing to appreciate is that a large majority of those accounting firms are extremely traditional non-digital firms. So if you're trying to sell a product which is predominantly a product that is integrated into like the Xero ecosystem, for example, or whatever ecosystem it is, then suddenly that market size has reduced dramatically, because we know that out of those however many 60, 70,000 accounting firms, there's a large number of those that are even just getting going with cloud accounting and looking at things like connecting bank feeds, never mind looking at supporting app ecosystems and all of those other products. So they will have the kind of the must-haves from a technology standpoint. They will have something that helps them to file a set of accounts or to complete a tax return, all of that basic compliance work. They'll likely have a ledger, ideally something in the cloud. But beyond that, they don't want anything more. So there's this kind of like money coming in, huge growth expectations in terms of what's possible, but that doesn't necessarily marry up with what is possible based on the actual size of the serviceable addressable market in accounting. So there's a bit of a disconnect there, I think.
Some really good points. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Like I think you've said it concisely, clearly. Yeah, that's a good takeaway. Before we move on, Tony, again, your mind was whirring.
I think.
Do you have anything you want to add? Or
I think you are on a slight delay because I'm just waiting for you to say your points and be 100% clear that I have some runway to talk, because I do think we are overlapping slightly, because I think one of us is on a slight delay. But I could talk about this concept like this thing for hours and hours, particularly with Jordan, because obviously he's right at the coalface of it. I think you're right. A lot of like what underpins all of that is the understanding of the market you're trying to sell into, right? Like accounting businesses and bookkeeping businesses are their own unique version of operations, right? And there's different ways of operating than I don't want to use the word normal, standard business, but there's quirks and nuance that you need to understand from the people side and from the business side, right? And like you said, those like hungry for digital adoption are a small fraction of the business of that world, and and if you want to get large scale adoption, then you've got to work out how to get into the slower moving, less digitally advanced firms who are represent the bulk of things, and that's not that's just the adoption over time as these things happen, right? Which is kind of makes perfect sense. But just that bit of like, if you were to give some advice to, like, you work a lot with firms in this space, like how do they get their first like 5 or 10 users on the platform to start to validate this stuff, right? And obviously you've got to keep that open mind of, I think I know a problem, I think it's this, I need to put it in the hands of real people, and also get them to be raving about it and really want to actually spend money on it. Because like, not the same thing when someone says, yes, this is a really good product. Okay, do you want to buy it? No, I don't want to buy it. It's a really good product, but it's not, I don't feel like Poncho in a monsoon levels of I need this to solve my problem right now, right? So how do those like those fintechs that are looking to get going engage with those those first 5 to 10 users?
I think it starts with research. So just reaching out to firms and asking if they'd be willing to share their thoughts and experiences around a specific problem. And part of that research absolutely needs to include a commercial element, just to gauge whether or not, like you said, right, it's all well and good finding that there's a problem to be solved, but that's irrelevant if people aren't willing to pay to solve that problem. There's lots of problems I want to solve, but very few that I'd probably pay good money to solve for. And Dale will know this, because he was part of a research initiative I ran for a product last year, where I ran through a number of questions, tried to understand certain things about how things happen in the firm. And towards the end of that research piece, there was a part where we looked at plans and pricing. And, some of the questions are, based on everything you've seen and heard and the things we discussed, what is the likelihood you would give to trialing a product like this? Which plan would be most relevant? Would you pay for that? Yes or no? Asking those kinds of questions early on and getting that kind of feedback is super, super valuable. And will save you so much time and headache down the road. Yeah. And that's one of the things we love helping people with here at Journey, because it makes everything else easier, especially from like a marketing and positioning and messaging standpoint. Just having that research to kind of start with just informs everything else.
Yeah, I've lost count of the amount of people I've recommended speak to you guys, mate. So they're not paying me to say that. It just seems that it just, like we were talking about before, it just seems like so often in that sort of new start to scale up space that Journey are involved in the good news stories. So yeah.
Going to jump into the comments. Kevin Lord, agree with Tony. Those that want digital adoption efficiency saving is relatively low. And he's got a second follow-up comment. Kevin Lord again, selling into a firm of partners who all individually are making a really good living. The business is thriving but busy, and they only see themselves in the business for 5-10 years. Then why change? Kevin's 100% correct. That's quite common, especially if you have a partnership model where you age out at 65. And your business, on paper, you're actually a millionaire already, right? Why would you rock the boat when you don't need to?
I would just throw a slight counter to that, just to play devil's avocado. But I think that some technology out there, the cost and time to implement it actually wouldn't justify the efficiency gains you got as a result, because there's still a large part of technology in this ecosystem that is too siloed and too isolated and not well integrated enough for it to truly transform these kind of end-to-end workflows that firms need to, in order to kind of see those efficiency gains. So for them to spend however long it takes to implement this new product, get it set up, get it really up and running and firing, I'm not sure for some it's truly worth it. But for lots it might be. I'm just throwing a slightly different perspective out there.
Yeah, sorry. Again, the delay is killing me again. Sorry. I was going to say, what do you think the end game is for accounting tech? Because you mentioned siloed, you mentioned a lack of communications. How do you think it's going to go? But we're seeing as well. I literally had Sabby Gill, CEO of Dext, on a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about what do you call it? Where things come together.
Consolidation.
Using my words here.
Convergence.
Thank you.
Bundling and unbundling.
Consolidation.
Yeah.
Also, we now know who's got the delay, because Jordan answered me within half a second, and Tony was 3 seconds below. It's definitely Tony with a delay. Jordan answered in real time. Yeah, consolidation. We're seeing a lot of app consolidation. We're seeing apps that used to do just one thing now doing 3 or 4 things. So I asked you a question and waffled on a little bit, but essentially, where do you see the end game for accounting tech?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's this notion that we'll have this beautifully integrated ecosystem where everything plays nicely, data syncs beautifully from one place to the next, deep integrations, automated end-to-end workflows with kind of point solutions that are best of breed. Have we seen that over the last few years? No. Why? Because most integrations aren't actually that good. Most products realize that they're better off building the capability or acquiring the capability in-house, because it's better for their growth than an average revenue per account, which is why we're seeing consolidation. And we're also seeing the emergence of platforms as well. So, instead of just one app, it's a platform consisting of multiple apps, solving different problems, but for a very kind of similar audience. Translucent's a great example there. They're building this multi-entity platform, but it consists of lots of different apps doing different things, which again is a slightly different approach, but one that's super interesting to see. So what does the end game for accounting tech look like? I don't know. I think more consolidation, definitely, because there's too many products in the market at the moment, and they all can't survive long term, I don't think. Too many products doing the same thing, should I say. I think there's still heaps of opportunity for new products to come in slightly different areas to help solve problems that aren't being solved currently. But yeah, I think more consolidation, more acquisition, the emergence of more platforms. Who knows? Exciting times.
I need to ask you a silly question because it's been too serious for too long. What fictional character, if you could punch in the face and get away with it with no repercussions, who would you punch in the face and why?
Dr. Evil.
Okay. Why would you punch Dr. Evil?
It'd just be funny, wouldn't it? Just see how he'd react. It'd just be so funny. And then Mini-Me would probably come and run after you and bite you on the knee or kick you.
Mate, you're showing your age by answering that. There's probably a whole generation have been like, who's Dr. Evil and who's Mini-Me?
Oh, no. Yeah. If you haven't watched Austin Powers, then that's your assignment for this weekend.
I'm going to countermand that assignment. That film was not aged well. When you watched it when you were 12, it was probably hilarious. Watch it now. It's not that great. It's really not that great. Okay. Would you like, again, I'll give you the choice, Jordan, serious or silly question?
Let's go silly. We've done a lot of serious this call, haven't we?
Can I do my coffee question?
I'm going to do a disgustingly.
Can I do my coffee question?
Go for it. Do the coffee question.
So
do it.
This was my coming up with my start down this road of silly questions. Dale's got a whole bank of them, but maybe it's not a silly question. Actually, maybe it is a serious question. But we can all agree that artisan coffee is the A1. That's what we all kind of want to drink, right? And that could be an assumption that is incorrect, but we start from that place. Sometimes we will get caught in needing a coffee, but chain generica, and we've got to buy something from one of the major chains. Which one are you going for, and which one will you actively avoid, coffee chain wise? And this is where Jordan goes, I don't drink coffee.
I love coffee. I would never buy coffee from a chain.
Oh, just full stop, blank. No.
I'd rather go without, yeah.
Wow, that is a high bar. That is a high bar. We got really into this with Tim last week. He was, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But Tim's different because he's on Guernsey. There's hardly any chains at all.
And then we got into how he goes to the mainland and eats fast food for 3 days constantly, has 3 Maccas in 5 days, and then hops on the flight and goes back to Guernsey again. So yeah, well, that's a strong position. I like it. Good.
Jordan, we're similar. I said I had a similar answer. I was like, I probably wouldn't do much of a chain.
No, the way I think about it is I only get so many coffees a day, so many coffees a lifetime. But why would I waste that on a cup of brown dishwater? When I could just go get real good coffee somewhere.
How many coffees do you drink a day? That's an interesting question.
At the moment, 3 double shot, so 6 shots a day.
How many do you drink, Tony?
2
a day.
2. Someone I work with, who I won't name, he drinks about 10, 1 per meeting.
Double shot
a day,
and not double shots, no, I don't think. But yeah, we've told him it's too much.
Asking for the heart to explode. It's way too much.
It's too much.
You should cut back. Do you ever find sometimes people say they like tea or coffee, but then when you look at their tea or coffee order, they don't like tea or coffee. They like the things that go into tea or coffee. I got a friend of mine. She's like, I love tea, and then I was like, no, and then I saw she has milk in it, and then she has 6 sugars. I was like, you just like sugar. You don't like tea. 6 is
the coffee is a vehicle for your sugar. Yeah.
5. Yeah, it's 5 teaspoons too many, right? That's crazy.
Yeah.
6 sugars in your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Madness.
That is
That's right, I'm getting all judgy. I'll get off my podium. Yeah, that is insane. What else can we ask Jordan?
Well, you had a silly question. You had a silly question, and I interrupted. So
yeah, but it's gone out of my brain. So no, well, okay, it's a disgustingly inappropriate one. If you want to hear it, want to roll them dice, Jordan? Popeye, SpongeBob, Bugs Bunny. Shag, marry, kill.
Oh God!
Lost him. Feels like Jordan's going to take that one offline and give that some serious thought.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to.
Wait, I could change it to kiss, marry, kill. If that makes it more
live on LinkedIn. Wait, who are the characters? Popeye, SpongeBob, and Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, we can change it to kiss if you want instead of shag, because that's got connotations.
I mean, you'd have to. I mean, let's start with who kill, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, probably Popeye, because like he's the least cute. So like if you killed SpongeBob, you'd feel awful. Probably the same with Bugs Bunny.
To threaten the gym as well.
Just like, yeah, he'd try and crush you with his giant bicep, but you wouldn't feel too bad afterwards.
Okay. So you got to kiss one of them. Let's go to that. You got to kiss SpongeBob or Bugs Bunny. We'll will it down.
This is a bizarre question.
You can decline to answer. I realise it's a ridiculous.
Can I phone a friend? Can I phone Trent and ask what he'd do?
Well, I think hopefully Kevin, Jack, Marcus, and maybe James are still in the comments. Maybe phone one of them. Ask them. Who do you think? Yeah, we'll ask them in the comments. James, Kevin, Jack, if you guys are still watching, who do you think Jordan should kiss out of SpongeBob or Bugs Bunny? We'll give them another 20 seconds.
Kiss on the head, good night. Kiss on the head, good night.
Yeah, nothing. No tongue. That's
Bugs Bunny.
So, just to let everyone know, we do like a 10-minute warm up before we go live, and I have to admit, I do omit one truth about the show. I tell people I do the show to make LinkedIn more interesting and to get business insights. There's another reason I do this show. It's mostly to amuse myself, and that's where these questions come from. It's like, sorry, there's a little bit of selfishness involved in this. It's mostly for my amusement. The comments have gone really, really quiet. I don't think anyone wants to touch that question at all. Tony, save me from myself. Can you ask a serious question, please?
Okay. So tell us about the firm, Jordan.
Yeah, so the firm is...
Wait. Kevin Lord answered. Bugs Bunny, 100%, no debate.
There we go.
For which one?
So you're kissing Bugs, apparently.
Okay.
Anyway, that's for kissing. And then James to SpongeBob, flat face, no compensate for the mustache. Sorry. SpongeBob, flat face to compensate for the mustache. Actually, you'd be kissing according to James. Thank you, peoples, for humouring my silly question. Back to the serious questions. I'll mute myself for like 2 minutes as punishment.
So I think the question was, tell us about the firm, Jordan.
Yeah, the firm's a content platform for accountants and bookkeepers. So basically what we realize is that most of the value that accountants and bookkeepers get is by learning from each other. Learning how they're doing things in their firms, how they've got things set up, how they're running things. And the firm is really just a way to help provide an outlet for more sharing of that stuff. So, there's like a podcast on M&A where we've got 8 different firms on there talking about their experience of buying and selling, some of them taking on private equity investment. We've got another podcast that's launching next week, which is all about EOS. Have you heard of EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System? It's like a framework for running and managing a business. And there's quite a few accounting firms out there now that are embracing that as a way to run their firm. So we've got different practice owners on there talking about how they're implementing it, what they're using, what they're not using, why they like it. And then we've also got a series on personal branding. So firms that are actively winning new work by building personal brands online, talking about how they're doing it, why they're doing it, the types of things that are working for them. So it's really just a way to democratize the sharing of knowledge that is otherwise sometimes exclusive to these in-person conferences or events, and just make it accessible to everybody for free.
I was going to say, is it your gift to the industry, right? I couldn't work out how I could pay you any money for it, so I'm guessing that is how it rolls to start with, right?
Yeah, there's no cost to accountants and bookkeepers. It's just a way to create a really, really helpful resource for them to learn from each other. That's the plan, at least for now.
So I was going to say, like, oh, I mean, Dale could present the series on there if you'd like, but after his previous question, I'm sure we'll have to work our way back into the good books for that.
I do have serious questions from time to time, and I will demonstrate one of them now because I was doing my active listening while I was muted. You mentioned personal branding and accountants, and I'm going to refer to a post that James Ashford posted recently. He suggested that accounting firms shouldn't have social media policies because they inhibit personal brands. What are your thoughts on his stance?
Agree entirely. If you are not actively encouraging your team to find what they enjoy talking about and provide them a platform to talk about it and build their own personal brands, then I think that's a huge missed opportunity.
Can I be devil's advocate and use myself as an example?
Yeah.
If you let staff go too far, they might ask ridiculous questions about kissing, marrying, or killing cartoon characters on their platform, which, I don't know, could impact how people view the firm. It could backfire horribly.
It could. I guess you got to reevaluate carefully who's in the team there, right? Make sure you got the right bums in the right seats.
Jokes aside, so going back to James Ashford's point, he does say, like, the policy says, his suggestion was that policies punish everyone. If someone's doing something ridiculous, punish the one idiot that does it wrong. Don't make a policy because someone else messes up.
Yeah.
So if anyone at KR is watching this, because I asked a ridiculous question, please don't make a social media policy. Punish me for my ridiculous questions.
I think maybe some guidelines might be helpful, right? As a sort of look at this person, they do it well. Look at this person, they don't do it well.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Be like this person, not like this person. Maybe because people, like, when you give people free reign to do things, it can often, like, it can be like, oh, I already shown where to start. I've got no idea, so I just won't. Right.
Sorry, I'm distracted by the comments. Bridget, I'm having an artificially unintelligent out-of-body experience. I assume that's linked to the question I asked previously. It's a pretty ridiculous question.
Could be.
Could be. Sorry. I've lost my train of thought again.
Surely not. Das, Jordan, you guys are moving, right?
No comment.
No comment.
Moving?
I thought that was... Sorry if I've just said something that wasn't public knowledge. I thought it was. No, they're not moving. Sorry.
Okay, I've got a serious question, right? So, looking at your title on the show, right, co-founder of Vinyl Journey, to the untrained eye, you have an entrepreneurial spirit. Have you always wanted to be your own boss, or is it something that progressed after you worked for other people?
That's a good question, actually. So, when I left university, I was meant to go and work for Deloitte as a tax consultant. And then the summer before I started, I met a coach who was coaching accounts at the time, running his own business, and just kind of fell in love with this startup business mentality and way of working. And then ever since then, I've just been involved in startup environments or doing consulting for myself. And I think from that, just realized actually life is a lot more fun when you can kind of take control of your own destiny, for want of a better phrase, and just be your own boss and do your own thing.
Okay, two follow-up questions. What is it you like about the startup mentality? You said you've enjoyed it, the excitement. If you could maybe elaborate on that, that'd be great. Also, what warnings or pitfall would you give to people who want to go into that startup world? Because let's be honest, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. So what kind of warnings would you give people? So the pros and the cons.
The things that I like about it are the fact that it's just like, it's non-stop. I think I thrive when there's like too much going on and when my brain's split in 50 different ways and I'm trying to do multiple things at once. Like, I feel like that's my happy place. And the great part about the startup mentality and just the startup world is that no one day is the same. You're kind of solving different problems on different days with different means and just learning so much as you go. I also think that that's the downside, because like for a lot of people, that's incredibly overwhelming. You know, it's not an easy life. It's not an easy route to take. The whole concept of, specifically if you were looking at being self-employed or going freelance, the whole notion of like having more time going down that route is completely flawed. Like, I've never worked so much than when I was working for myself, like a lot more than a basic 9 to 5, like considerably more. And oftentimes I've kind of like sat there and reflected and thought, God, like I could probably earn more money and have a much easier life working between the hours of 9 and 5 if I just went and got a job working for somebody. But it wouldn't be anywhere near as fun.
Okay, so it takes a certain kind of personality or trait to want to work in that way, right? Because not everyone can do it. Because what you described, like you said, sounds very, very challenging. I think maybe you have to, not trying to put words into your mouth, but you've got to have a high tolerance for stress, maybe. Because like you say, you could have a less stressful job, you could have a 9 to 5 and have more money. But for you, this level of stress is actually kind of enjoyable. You like it, right?
Yeah, like it, and it's. I also, I don't know if I didn't say I'd enjoy it. I think over time you just develop almost like a muscle to be able to deal with it. Like someone once described it to me as like the way that you react to stressful situations and things that get thrown at you is almost like going to the gym and training a muscle. So if you never go to the gym and never train a muscle, you never get stronger. So, you go and try and lift a weight and you'll fail. But the more you throw yourself into these stressful situations or situations where you're kind of pushing the boundaries and testing yourself, the more you'll strengthen that ability to deal with it. And over time, what might have been quite hard for you to manage 2 years ago suddenly becomes just like, yeah, easy, just get on with it. I can compartmentalize that and deal with it. So it's kind of like just a thing you build over time.
Becomes your norm, right?
Now I have to ask: squat, bench, deadlift, row. What are you lifting at the moment?
Squats not so good, like 130 on the bar. Deadlifts, I haven't done them for a number of years. Bench, I don't do with a bar, I do with dumbbells. I can do 40 aside.
Nice.
Row, again, I don't do that with a bar. I would guess over 100.
Nice. Also, I forgot overhead press, the big 5. We did overhead.
Overhead dumbbells, 36 aside.
Damn. You're strong. You're very, very strong.
Said he was a savage, right?
Yeah, like that's not lightweight. Lightweight, baby. That was my Ronnie Coleman impression. It wasn't very good.
I know. I love that. I love that. I was thinking at the moment you said it's not light, in my head I was going lightweight, baby, and then you said it. It was perfect.
You know. All right, we are drawing to an end. It's been almost an hour. The time has flown by. Before we drop off, I guess, do you have any questions for me or Tony? Tony or I? Me and Tony? Us. Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you've heard whilst doing these podcasts?
Someone kissing Bugs Bunny. No, I'm joking. The craziest thing, like while it's been live, or like the pre-show stuff.
Either.
Okay, I think the pre-show stuff is always in confidence, so I wouldn't say anything on that one. The craziest one.
I've only done 3 episodes, so I don't have a huge bank to draw from.
I honestly, it's going to sound a bit of a cop-out. I don't think anything's been too crazy. I think everyone's aware that this is live. Everyone's aware this is on a professional platform. So no one said anything too far-fetched or too ridiculous. It's always been relatively pleasant. There's just been some episodes where people do humour me and answer silly questions, and they're usually the more fun ones, in my opinion. So yeah, nothing's been too crazy. Oh no, I tell you, I thought of one, and I'm gonna say her name because it's already recorded, right? So I asked Catherine Frimond, if you could punch one character, like who would it be? And you picked Dr. Evil, fictional character. She picked like a real person, like she picked an actor. Like not the character they played, and like she kind of went off for like 2 minutes. I was like, you do know I said like a fictional character, so it's like not real. But like she was like, no, I dislike this actor. I was like, cool. So that seemed kind of crazy. It's pretty lighthearted.
Who was the actor?
That one took me. Oh, the lady that plays Sophie in Peep Show. I can't remember her name.
Oh,
Hold on. I'm typing right now. Hold on.
Yeah.
I want to say Olivia. Is it Olivia Colman? I think she wants to give Olivia Colman a bit of a slap.
Oh, Olivia Colman's awesome.
Not according to someone else. All right. Thank you for humoring me. Before I hit the end stream, do you have a nugget of wisdom or a gem or a bit of bomb knowledge you want to drop on people before I click end stream?
Not really. I feel like we've said a lot, probably shared a few things. Nothing really comes to mind.
Cool. I'm going to end it there.
Yeah.
Thank you all for viewing. Jordan, thank you for being with us. Tony, thank you for saving me from myself. And we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.